This is Dr. Gigi Sabbat, and you're listening into the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Dr. Linda Pettis Ellis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Such an honor to have you here today. Now, can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from, Linda?
Well, I'm living in the grand state of Texas. I live in outside of Houston, Texas, in a suburb of Humble, and grew up in this area. And did a little traveling around and getting an opportunity to share some of my learning with people so that they can grow and become the best version of themselves, as we say.
I love it. And tell us a little bit more about your experience as a teacher.
Okay, I was an educator for 28 years in public education. I also had an opportunity. So with that, I worked pre-K through 12th grade in public education. Also got an opportunity to work as adjunct at local universities, teaching psychology and some educational psychology counseling classes as well. So education is kind of like a deep root inside of me, starting at a young age. And so that's part of the journey that I've in my life. And even as I have left the scene of education and do some semi-retired work in in mental health, I find that teaching is still part of the core of me, and I just want people to become more and more aware of themselves as they, journey through life, so that they can become the dream that they have inside of themselves, where they're really in tune to their own personal being, as well as those around them. So often we in our culture are so outside oriented. We're looking at the other people. We see them, we hear them, we empathize with them, but there are times that we don't get a chance to be self-compassionate. We don't look inside of ourselves because we're so busy helping other people. And, it's like, it's important that we also take care of ourselves. And in doing that, we can become more grounded in who we are and be more, I think, effective as we interact with other people, to be real. Because sometimes, we can all go, oh, everything's wonderful, but sometimes everything isn't wonderful. And sometimes we need to let people be able to share that, and us share our hearts about where we are and where they can go when everything isn't as wonderful as we sometimes say.
Very true, very powerful. I love it. Now, Dr. Linda, you obtain your PhD. What message do you have for an individual who's working on obtaining their PhD?
Do it. It's the hardest thing I ever done, but I don't regret it. One of the hardest. Well, this book was pretty hard to write too. I don't think we even talked about that part, but yes. But getting the PhD was very difficult, but it was well worth it. And it wasn't something that I grew up like, oh, I'm going to get a PhD when I get older. It wasn't that. It was, I started with education because my parents really, really accented on education. And because of their accent on that, it's, 6 out of 7 of my siblings, we all got a degree. And so, but my father only finished to the 5th grade, my mom, but he also got a craft. He was a barber. And so he was a very smart man. And my mom was a hairstylist, and they were entrepreneurs in our small town. And they instilled in us a real strong work ethic. And so I work hard, and, so that education was like a thread throughout. And one of my dad's sisters, that were mostly men. I think it was like 8 boys and 2 girls. and his sister was a professor at the university. She was at Grambling University in Louisiana. And when, as children, our parents would take us to the graduation ceremonies. And I did not realize how much those impressed me until I was getting my higher education degrees. And I'm like, wow, wow, oh, wow. And then I would recall it as I would be teaching my students at the university at the as an adjunct. So education and teaching and learning is still very core to me. I'm an avid reader, and I didn't realize I was a bona fide nerd until I got older.
That makes two of us.
So I still like to read, and I like to learn and grow. And so the growth is so important, because I think it, especially as people continue to go through life, it also helps you to stay on point with the purpose that you were created, because it opens windows and opens ideas so that you can step into something new. And the Bible says that God is doing a new thing. He's not doing the old thing. He's doing a new thing. And if we keep doing just the same old thing, we're just going to get the same old thing. But God is doing new things in us if we allow Him to, if we're open to it. And so I choose to be open. I choose to not sit back and just watch life go by. So yeah.
I love it. You answered my question. You actually exceeded my expectations with that answer. So thank you so much. And I love how you emphasize the fact of about being a nerd there and reading a lot, right? It reminds me of how you and I have collaborated so much in regards to the book studies that we are a part of. Tell us a little bit more about the book studies.
I think we started the book study about a year and a half ago, and we started with Joyce Meyer's book,
Yes,
The Battlefield of the Mind. And that book is 35 plus years old. And I think it's her very first book. And I recall after I decided I was going to do that, I was going to go to her conferences. And last year I got an opportunity to go to 2 of her live conferences out of town. And she does a couple of them here in the Houston area. And I normally get a chance to attend those too. And it was just really eye-opening to see the thirst of people wanting to know about how our thoughts manage basically our lives in a way. If the Bible says, so as a man thinketh, so is he, she. And so, but there are times when our thoughts are not aligned with God's word and with reality. And so in order to be aware of that, you need to have the word in you, right? And as you do, you'll start noticing that there's a little war going on. It's like, okay, I may get into an environment and I'm there, and I'm basically a shy person, and so my mind may go, oh, they don't like me, oh, they're thinking this and that, and I can't read anyone's mind, but that doesn't mean I'm not thinking what I think. And so what I have to do, or what I get an opportunity to do, is notice my thoughts and say, you know what, that is not true. Stop that. and remind myself to just think what is true and not what my fears, project or process. So in order to do it, the Bible talks about casting down vain imaginations, anything that lifts itself over the knowledge of God, basically. And so casting down vain imaginations. Oh, well, the thought that somebody doesn't like me. We know people don't like us at times, but we're not living for people. We're living for God. Right. And so if they don't like you, that doesn't stop us from being what God has called us to be. And when we realize that, we can pray for them just silently and just let them be who they are and move forward. And so the thing about the battlefield of the mind is like noticing the thoughts are very important. So we started with that book. Okay, back to the book study, and then we went on and because we were talking about Joyce Myers and how she has overcome some really difficult times. And so when you think of that, it's like all of us have had trauma, different things that have happened in our lives. Yeah. And the thing is like sometimes people get kind of stuck in those things. And so if we start paying attention to the thoughts that we have, we can help unstick ourselves and start moving into that newness that God has said we have. So as we've studied through the books and talked through the books, we've had mostly ladies in our group. Nothing against men; they just haven't chosen to join yet. And many we've had, like I think one or two. And but realizing that battle is always going on, but realizing that we can win if we put the effort out. The Bible talks about how we are made in God's image, but it's like, and he has given us great and precious promises, but there's a part we have to play. So if we don't do our part, we don't get all the gifts that God has for us. And a gift is available to you, but you can't receive it if you're not willing. And so the Bible also talks about if you're willing and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. And so sometimes I know I'm doing things, but it's like, oh man, do I have to do this right now? So I'm doing it, but am I willing? So if I'm not willing, guess what? I got to do what I needed to do. Do I get the blessing? Possibly part of it, but I bet I get more blessing because that's what the word says. Makes sense?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it does. Makes lots of sense.
And so that was one of the books we read. Another one is called What About Me? And that's a Joyce Myers book also. She used to say, what about me? What about me? What about me? When other people were getting blessed, she'd start saying that. And the truth is, she wasn't the only one said it. I've said it. Other people have said it. So, it touches your heart because what she does is she's real. And you can understand that. And so we talked about that book. We read about that book. We learned some tools to help ourselves. And then we left Joyce for a moment. We still love her. And we went out and worked on a book by Lisa Turkis. And it's called I Want to Trust You, But I Don't. And, and it was about her life. And she went through a patch of infidelity after a long-term marriage. And she wanted to trust God, but the person that she was married to wasn't being faithful, and she had to make some decisions. And so sometimes our dreams don't come out the way we want them, but God still loves us, and he will make good. He can turn, the bad into the good. That's his. And as we leave it with him, he can do that for us every single time. And currently we're working on the book called Let Them Theory, and it's by Mel Robbins. It's very, very popular. And it sounds so easy, when people want to do what they want to do and you're trying to help them and they don't want to listen, you go like, let them think what they want to, let them do this, let them, just let them do what they want to do, because you really can't change people and you can't control people. But there's a second part of the book that most people don't miss out on, and it's called Let Me Do What I Need to Do to Become a Better Person.
That's right.
Let me show love. Let me be on my task doing what God has called me to do so that I can grow. And so as we let them, and then we come back to taking care of ourselves, I think that's the biggest gift that we can do. So those are some of the books that we're working on, and we'll probably be working on some others soon too.
I love it. Thank you so much, Linda. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about your book?
My book. This book has been in a process, and I'm excited about it. It's in the publisher's hand, okay? And I'm like going, yes. And it's called A Cultural Crossroads, A Journey Through Identity and Belonging. And it kind of started off, it was, I always wanted to finish up my dissertation the way I wanted to do it. But while I was getting my doctorate, my professor said, hey, you need to do it this way. Don't try to do everything. That's just too big. And I said, okay, did it, got my PhD, thank God. And so then, and I kept saying, I really want to expand on that. And so I set my face to do that about 2.5 years ago, maybe. And I started to rewrite it. I stopped where I was. And my dissertation was about self-esteem in females and in their daughters. And I wanted to update what new information was out on self-esteem, and it was published in 2020. And so 2002, not 2020, 2002 is when I published first. And so 4 years later or 23 years later, I got a chance to expand it. And so originally it was with the Hispanic population. Now it covers 5 different ethnic groups. It has the Native American female. It has the African American female. It has the Latino Hispanic female in it. It has the Asian American female in it. And it also has the white Caucasian female. And it talks about how we have cultural identity differences living in a society that is white male dominated. And all of us, because of that, have lower self-esteem, lower pay. I mean, a lot of different things that society has done and not allowed women, even though it's a lot more improved than it had been in the past. And so even this week, I had someone talking with me about how she works a job, and when she's at her job, and she has the title that the other male supervisor has, the other under the people that she supervises will not do what she says many times, but will defer to her male counterpart. And it's really irritating and very demeaning for all of us. And so what we want to do is be aware that's the way it is. Yes, we will work on it. And we're going to say, let them, but that we're not going to say, and let me speak up for myself. Let me be the example. Let me not let this stop me from being all God has called me to be. So and that takes being aware of who we are, self-awareness, being aware of who we are in our own skin. Sometimes we're not comfortable in our own skin and we don't feel like we belong. And each one of those ethnic groups that I mentioned, there's this cultural identity we have, being a Native American, that's cultural. They have some cultural background and there's some similarities. Being an African American, there's a cultural background that's similar, but not exactly alike for any of them, because culture also is dependent on families as well. And so the Latina, the Hispanic females, and when I speak of these, when I speak of Hispanics, it's like there's so many different Hispanic countries. So there's a lot of different places that African Americans hail from. They may be African American, but they might have come from one of the Caribbean islands. And so that is a different culture too. But when you hit the United States, they don't really care. You still gonna be African American. And sometimes, and the treatment is not always kind. And so Asian American, who can be from, the Middle East, they can be from from Japan, India. There's so many, and each one of them have their different cultures as well. And so, and then the Caucasian woman who has some more privileges, but still is not treated at the same level as the white dominant males in our society. And I know that this is kind of even more noticeable in our culture today with our leadership and with the way things have been happening in our local news and environment.
Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Linda. Now, where can folks obtain a copy of your book?
Well,
Okay.
uh, well, the book is not out yet, and it's going to be out between now and probably March. And so we're going to have a shop that's set up where they can order it, and I will send information to you that you can share. We will be putting information on the social media on my website so that people can purchase. And we will be doing some presentations here in the Houston area, probably going to be going to South Carolina and probably Louisiana. And we'll see where else we might get an opportunity to go, possibly Florida, because I know somebody in Florida that might be able to help us get some movement. So we'll see what happens.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Linda. Now, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
Walking with purpose and living a life of happiness.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's lovely. That was good. That was very good.
Thank
You
you.
know, I think that as you know yourself, as you become more and more aware of who you are and aware of your history and your family history, and accept that, you know, and embrace that and learning from that and moving forward. So sometimes we blame people from the past, and I didn't have an opportunity to do that, and this didn't happen. But you know what? What you have is all you need as you go from inside of yourself and just start doing the things that you think are right, and staying under the protection of God, because He talks about He protects us and
Amen.
He will guide us. He says we're His sheep and we know His voice. Now, if you don't know His voice, then you need to get to know Him. And He said, I'll lead you. He said, a voice of a stranger you don't have to follow. So as you're moving in your life and following the voice of God, I would love to tell you that you will have every day will be absolutely happy and wonderful. But the reality is you won't know happiness if you haven't had sadness. And so life gives us things that sometimes we don't like. But as we embrace the things that we don't like and we trust God through them, that is the place of joy and happiness. And so when tough times come, we do our best, we work, and what we want to do is maintain the joy that God has given us, knowing that He's faithful to continue to perfect those things that concern us. And as we walk through that, knowing He is faithful, and it's like, God, I don't know how you're going to fix this, but I know you will. Now, you're talking about joy. I think I feel pretty happy knowing that. And, you know, it's like, when we turn our everything over, I think our purpose is to live life to its fullest, no
Yes.
matter what. You know, when tough times come, you just continue, and you continue to be kind to yourself, kind to those around you, and move in the direction that gives you peace. The Bible talks about let peace rule and reign in your life. The thing is, peace is the referee.
Yes.
And so when I'm trying to decide if I'm moving according to God, I stop, take a deep breath. God, which way do you need me to go? Get silent and allow Him to direct you. You shouldn't be hearing a verbal voice. He's not going to speak to you with a voice. Oh, it's time for you to do this. That's probably not going to happen.
Right.
But He will get a direction down in your core and in your heart. It's like, you know, let me try this. And as you start doing the things that seem right, the direction will start becoming clearer. And as you do those things, there is this peace that settles. So peace, joy. And, you know, we talk about, and everyone knows who've ever been in a group with me, I'm going to do that. You know, the fruit of the Spirit is what God has given us to know that we are in his path. He says there's going to be love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And as we walk in those things, we're walking in the purpose that he has for us.
Amen. Thank you, Dr. Linda Pettis, for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. Now, where can the audience find you?
www.pettiscounseling.com is my email. That's my website. And we are doing work out of Texas. We're also doing work in South Carolina as well as in Louisiana. And so those two, the Louisiana and South Carolina, we're doing virtual only, but in Texas, we do both virtually and in person.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Linda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, on the website that Linda shared there. And Linda, thank you again so much for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. God bless.
Bye-bye.